Now, never forget this as long as you live in the world of finances, all right? This is going to be a tough conversation, and this is it. If your expenditure is way above your income, guess what? Just forget about the financial freedom. You know, that thing that you're looking forward and saying, hey, you know what? One day I'm looking forward whereby I can just sit and be able to eat and drink, you know? Forget about it. You know why? There's no way you can devour everything that you make and actually you go exceed or you exceed. You know why? Before I even talk, let me just tell you one thing. There are three types of cash flows. And by the way, before I even define what are cash flow, let me just tell you, okay? See, this is how it goes about. When you make, for example, when you make 40K a month and you consume 40K a month, 40K a month, what does it mean? You consume everything that you make. Oh, and by the way, go check on the Bible. The Bible says only a fool devours everything. I didn't call you a fool, the Bible did. All right. So if you have any contestation, go check on the Bible. All right. See, now this is how it happens. Now, see, if you, when you make 40, you consume 40, guess how much you have in terms of cash flow? You have zero cash flow. Zero cash flow. Cash flow, it is I don't know whether I can call it disposable income. See, cash flow is like an umbrella that houses different, money. It can be a disposable income, sinking fund, whatever it is. So the thing is, you have zero cash flow, meaning you have nothing like you can you can spare for the purpose of investment. The other thing is that let's say you make 40, all right, 40K, and guess what happens now? See, you consume 30, all right, consume that. Guess what happens now? You have a positive cash flow. There is something that you can invest. When people talk about the language of investment, damn, I got some 10,000 somewhere. I can be able to invest and do something about it. So because I have a positive cash flow, all right? Don't forget, we are talking about if your expenditure are way greater than your expenses, or rather your income. Forget about the freedom, the financial freedom. That's what we're talking about. What I'm doing, I'm just laying the foundation for us to have that discussion so that you understand what I'm talking about. All right. The last one, say you make 40, and guess what happens now? This is what we're talking about. This is quite interesting. Look at it. See, you consume 42K. Guess what happens now? You have a what? A negative cash flow. I am telling you, this is true. There are people who live in this kind of a lifestyle. And I always tell people, you'd rather have no zero cash flow than have a negative cash flow. It's true. Because when you have a zero cash flow, guess what happens? Now you sit on fence. Sit on fence is like, you're either not making profit, neither making a loss, but just somewhere. If you do one single mistake, boom, you go on either side. Okay? See, the point is this. See, when you have a negative, or rather when you have no cash flow, negative, positive cash flow, or negative cash flow, this is quite interesting. It's now because on this video, we're going to talk about largely you having a negative cash flow. Why? Because you're having more expenditure than what you make on your income. Come on, before we even get to that, go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure that you follow me. By the way, it does not cost me anything. It does not rather cost you anything. I don't charge anybody to subscribe to my channel. Neither is it about you liking my videos. Go ahead and do that. All right. It's like telling me, hey, good Joseph, thank you. All right. And by the way, if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, my number is up there on my description, just to keep me warm. Anyway, the point is this. Now what happens is, now when you have a negative cash flow, it becomes very complicated for you to live, and these are the things that can make you get yourself in a negative cash flow. Number one, you have the appetite to spend. Appetite to do what? Appetite to spend. By the way, there is nothing wrong with you having an appetite to spend, okay? But now the problem is that you're spending on consumption. All right? See, there are two types of spending. You can spend when you're investing. You can spend when you're doing what? You're just consuming. You're just, what we call the consumables, things that just consume them and they're done. I mean, you get what I'm saying? See, you have a high appetite to spend, but now spending on the consumables. In this case, regard, you can actually develop this appetite simply because you want to do what we call pleasing people. And I know you're about to contest me. No, I'm not buying that shoes because I want to please people. Yes, you are. Just listen to this. You're doing exactly that because you want to please two people, because you really care or you mind about what people say. For example, hey, I always love to give this example. What if today we met at the town and ask you, or rather you ask me, what do you do, Joseph, for a living? I tell you, I'm a doctor. Oh, wow, amazing. And one day we meet somewhere in a shanty place, and you ask me, oh, wow, good, Joseph, what are you doing here? I say, wow, I live here. You're like, but you told me you're a doctor. And I said, yeah, I said, I'm a doctor. But you're living here. Yeah, I live here. You get what I'm saying? So you're like, you're connecting doctor, living in shanty places. For example, in Kenya, a place called Kibra, if you can check it out there. So maybe if you live in South Africa, you can call it Soweto. Maybe you live in Nigeria, you can call it, is it Makuku or whatever? There is this island that floats on water. I don't know. You can check on that. Anyway, the point is, you can just imagine finding somebody who told you the doctor living in that particular place. What happens now is, the moment someone gives you a certain thing, and the reason why people ask, what do you make or what do you do for a living, they're actually asking you this to test the waters, to know how much effort or rather respect they can accord you. It's true. The moment you tell somebody, I'm just a mason, they find you in that Kibra thing, they're like, okay, fine. I mean, after all, he told me he's a mason. I mean, I don't expect him to make much of them. See, when you live that kind of a lifestyle, if maybe say you're a teacher, you are whoever you are, then you tend to actually squeeze your budget just to make sure that you're pleasing people and you actually meet your career. And let me tell you one thing. This is the greatest problem that people are facing. This is the greatest problem in humanity, is when you live some kind of a lifestyle to prove to people indeed that what you do matches to where you live and how you do your things. I met a certain client who was living in a lifestyle whereby he is paying, okay, let me not use the he because it was a couple. See, they were paying a school fees for their kids that they cannot even be able to afford. And they had a struggle between the wife and the husband. They're telling me, oh my goodness, you know what, Joseph? The wife now was a bit emotional to the issue, but the guy was like, I think we are paying more of a school fee, much on the school fees that we can actually afford. And I'm listening to them. We did all the calculation. It is true. They are paying way more. Why? Because some of their friends, they were doing exactly that. Because of the kind of the estate where they live, it's like everyone takes their key to that particular place. So they were feeling kind of ashamed when the school bus is coming at the evening, and the school bus is from just an average school and what have you. But it's not just an average school, but quite of an elegant school. So they were just like struggling financially because of such kind of a thing. Sometimes it's good to live by your own life. See, the moment you live in a life that you want to please people, that's when you get yourself into a situation whereby you cannot even snatch yourself to achieve the financial freedom. There is something in economics called the gratification delay, or the delayed gratification. This is where, like, yeah, you can afford it, but what is the cost of affording it? The cost of affording. By the way, have you ever seen this kind of a lifestyle? People living this kind of a life. People are eating, they are dressing, their kids are doing good, and rather they are, schooling in a good school. Okay, the life is okay. Maybe they have a car, but these people, they're just 3 months to being poor. Why? If you deny them today's month or this month's salary, the next month, that month, the family is on a crisis. Have you ever seen those kind of guys? They work from hand to mouth all the time. We call it the rat race. It is very, very dangerous. So it is always good to make sure that you live below your means. But anyway, the point is, if you live above your, or rather your expenditure is way above than your income, guess what happens now? You're going to get yourself into things we call them the unhealthy debt. The unhealthy debt. Why is even debt coming into this? It's coming into this because, hey, look at this guy. He's actually making 40, but he's living in a 42K lifestyle. What happens now? There is an extra 2K that is needed for them to do exactly that. No, they end up borrowing this 2K to make sure that at least they live at par with their lifestyle. Now, I want to show you the crisis that now you're getting yourself into. Remember one thing, that what you make is not able to actually cater for your expenses. Now, even the one that you've borrowed, you cannot be able to pay back. That's true. So probably, not even probably, by default, you're going to default this money. True. Then it means if this money is not paid, therefore, you're going to affect your credit score. Number two, you're going to have the accumulation of this debt. And by the way, before we even continue to this, have you ever met an individual? Probably you are the one. Have you ever met an individual? You usually have a weird loan somewhere. It's not big, it's not outrageous, but there is a weird, let me just call it a ka-weird. Ka in Swahili, it means a small. Ka-weird loan, yeah? Just a small loan somewhere. It's so weird, so annoying, such that maybe you borrow from your phone or from your bank or wherever the place is, and maybe it's like a 10K loan or something, or let's say $100 or $10, whichever that is, yeah? So the moment you get your salary, you have to pay back that loan for you to maintain the credit score from that company, and then you borrow again, because by virtue of you paying that $10 or whatever the amount is, then it means you're going to leave yourself in the amount of money that you cannot be able to survive. Therefore, it means that you have to borrow again. So, and then the cycle continues. After every month, you pay back, you borrow again, you pay back, you borrow again. So now, in that case regard, who is making money? Thank you. That company is the one that is making money in that case regard. So how do you get yourself out of that scenario? Hey, come on. I made a video about that. I talked about it. But simply you need to actually go ahead and cut off all the expenses. You need to cut off on your expenditures, or say on coffees, the outing. Sometimes you can actually grab, if you do have a car, you can grab some public transport to cut on the fuel. Maybe you have to just go ahead and cut all those expenses. Maybe perhaps, let's say that debt is like 10,000. All right, 10,000, you do this, yeah? You kill it this time round, you kill it by 2,000, meaning you, instead of borrowing the 10, you borrow 8. You know, you actually go ahead and shake off some of the expenses for the 2,000. Next month, you borrow 6. All right, now you shake off on the expenses of the 2, because now you have reprogrammed yourself on surviving over. Next month, you borrow 4, you borrow 2, you borrow 1. You get what I'm saying? By the time now you're clearing, let's say 3, 4, 5 months, you've actually off the hook of the loans, because now the moment you get yourself into unhealthy debt, I'm telling you, it becomes very hard for you to create wealth out of this, because now you not even think about how to save and invest. You're gonna think about how to get yourself out of the unhealthy debt, and this is the most dangerous thing that you can ever get yourself into, because the moment you get, there is nothing wrong with you getting a debt or a loan. It's amazing. It's actually one of the greatest tools to create wealth. But if you get it wrongly, I'm telling you, you can have a very bumpy ride as far as the world of the finances is concerned. So avoid as much as you can to live above your income. Because if you do so, you never have a surplus for you to go ahead and invest, for you to grow yourself out of the situation that you are in. And you can just imagine this, and God forbid, another COVID-19 shows up. You can just imagine how kind of a chaotic life you can be yourself into. Yeah, I saw somebody who was living in a house that is quite expensive. Within 2, 3 months, you're talking about rent arrears of 100,000 Kenyan shillings. That's like, damn, that's like $1,000 and above. You know, well, I know if you live in the West, you're like, yeah, that's not much. In Africa, it's quite a high amount of money. That's true. So, the point is this: it's always good to make sure that at least live below your means. Make sure that you live your surplus. That is the only way that you create the financial freedom. Because the process of creating the financial freedom is simply achieved by virtue of you investing. And what can you invest? You can't invest nothing. You get what I'm saying? So the only thing that you can actually invest is not even either, is when you live below your means. Just because you're making 100K a month, that does not mean that you're supposed to live a 100K lifestyle. You see, there is this issue that people usually face. The moment I tell you I'll be paying you 100K, you reprogram yourself, you reprogram your mind, you let everyone who surrounds you that now you're making a lot of money. Even let's say you're married, let's say you tell your husband you're making this amount of money, you tell your wife you're making this. Everything changes, even where you hang around, who you hang around with, what you consume, what you dress, where you start attaching yourself to certain affiliations, where you buy the things. I mean, you no longer buy things from a market. Now you're buying them from a supermarket. You're buying them from a hypermarket. You're buying them from where you're not even getting the best deals. And out, I mean, this is not what we do. What you do, if for example, if you realize an increment in terms of the salary, does not mean you're supposed to do what we call the directly proportional increment in your expenses. You're actually supposed to either to maintain it or go below, so that at least you can be able to find something that is surplus that you can be able to invest. I hope I'm making sense out of this video, and if I do, come on, go ahead and click that like video. For now, it's a goodbye, and don't forget to grab that number of mine from the description. Shoot me a call. Let's have a conversation for just a cup of coffee's price. For now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.